Sophie Power, welcome to Untapped. Great name.
I know, I married for it. I was the person that was like never going to choose, like I was never going to change my name because why would women change their name? Like what, men don't have to. And then I met Mr. Power and I thought I'll have that.
I mean, it is great. We can move on. But I'm sure you get told that a lot, that it's a very cool name.
It helps. And when I was running across Ireland, I had Kate Strong on the bike. And it's like the Kate Strong and Sophie Power show. And it was brilliant. It was just, we were laughing about our surnames and how you kind of, you lean into them a little bit, I think, sometimes.
I think so. Well, there's not much to lean into with Matthews, I have to say. It doesn't keep me going when I'm kind of, feeling the pain. Can we talk about what became incredibly viral photo of you breastfeeding at the UTMB 2018?
It's an absolutely beautiful photo. Alexis Berg saw it and took it, and he's one of the best trial running photographers in the world. And just, I guess he's framed me kind of breastfeeding my 3-month-old, one side pumping the other side, and there's a guy asleep next to me. And I think it just tells the story of it's not even a story about running. It's just a story about a mother's struggle to do everything and to have our goals after we have children and get back to where we want to be. It's an ultra running story, but really it's about mums. And I shouldn't have been there in the first place. I think it's part of it that I had this place, and I lost my first place in 2014 for being pregnant. It takes me 4 years to get another place in this iconic race. And I realized that I'd have a 3-month-old baby on the start line, and I couldn't defer my place again because they said no. And I thought, I'm just going to do 10K and just experience the start line. We booked a holiday to Chamonix. I had my 3-year-old son with me, and I had a really good recovery from pregnancy. At 6 weeks postpartum, I call up my old coach, Robbie, Robbie, will you train me for UTMB? Just had a baby. It's in a few weeks' time. And he says, absolutely not. You are crazy. You can't do this. I'm not qualified. But he introduces me to Eddie. And he said, she's going to say no too. But we had a conversation. She's like, you're going to do it anyway. I'd love to help you through this. Let's see what you could do. Maybe we could get you to halfway to Courmayeur, which is where the photo's taken. And I was in Chamonix the week before, and we were seeing the shorter races finish with kind of dads crossing the lines with their kids and the kids celebrating. And my 3-year-old goes, that's going to be me, mummy. I'm going to be crossing the line. Oh God, I've got to actually finish this race. So the photos, me, breastfeeding, it's halfway through the race. I've been 16 hours without being able to breastfeed. Any mum that only breastfeeds will know that you've got like 2 massive watermelons. I was like trying to squeeze them out behind trees and just manage kind of being a mum and get there. And then this photo was taken. I thought nothing of it. I just thought the organizer might see it and realize that this policy sucked. Like, I should be allowed to do this race that I've been dreaming of doing for years. The year after, when I was fit and ready, that's all I thought would happen. And then a few days later, my life is turned upside down by it going viral all around the world, on every single kind of major news station and newspaper. Because it's not a running photo, it really does just symbolize the struggles that we face and that, we maybe shouldn't have to face.
You focus quite a lot now on helping women get to start lines.
I think that's from the race. So I straight after the race, I had so many race directors call me and say, we don't have a pregnancy deferral policy. And it's not that we don't think women should be, we just never thought about it because, and they would say to me, we're men and we've never had to get back after have a baby. So we don't understand that, women might want to and how we can help them. And they were all writing these deferral policies in. And, I campaigned for UTMB to have it. And now I work with them really closely and they've got an amazing 5-year policy. And it's for fathers as well, and adopted parents and surrogates. But I founded SheRACES because I realized that it's not pregnancy that's the only barrier to women. We've got these amazing events, but a lot of them are designed through a male lens because you've got male race directors. And women are underrepresented on start lines, especially the longer distances. So what can we do that races can do really easily to make them more inclusive of women? And it's everything from those T-shirts that they say are kind of unisex, but they're male fit. Like, all of mine fit me beautifully when I was 37 weeks pregnant. But the period products, I've DNF'd, people have DNF for period products not being available, enough toilets, the language. They're covering the men's race and saying the winner is, and then the female winner. And there's two completely separate races when you mix women on the start line. Looking at how we make the language more inclusive, like the pictures. If you just have the start line, it's often just the men. So women don't feel maybe we belong there, women of all shapes and sizes and colours. So really simple changes. So we got the London Marathon to put a pregnancy deferral place in. That you still have to pay twice if you have a baby, which is ridiculous. But at least you have that opportunity. So SheRACES is just, I guess, my passion project that has exploded and gone global. And we work in India, we work in Uzbekistan, in Turkey, in Australia, in the US, all over the world. Just really trying to get more women. Because I think, and you'll probably think, saying, finish lines really change your life. Like crossing that finish line is life-changing. It's not about getting a medal. It's about what that does to the rest of us and our lives. And if we can get more people able to achieve their goal, then, and if I can play a small part in that, then it's an amazing thing to be able to do.
I think it's incredibly admirable. What an amazing cause. And it's it makes so much sense now that you talk about it.
It's things that you wouldn't think of because you're a guy, and it's not your fault that you haven't, I think. And it's other things that, like when we think about women's safety, kind of explaining to guys that if you run close to us from behind or wear dark clothing, it can make us feel unnerved. And men don't realise, because you don't walk down a dark street feeling how I walk down or run down a dark street. And we just have to communicate. And I think, we proved, we worked with Threshold, who run Race to Stones, on the project, and say, we're going to, make these races really inclusive. And they got kind of double the women on a 50K and many more, and more men, because it got brilliant media coverage. Like, this is not something we're asking to do because we're a charity. This is good for the sport. And so proving it's commercially viable and going to race and saying, this is how we'll get more women on your start line. Abingdon Marathon made very, very small changes. They sold out the race for the first time in 3 years. And they got kind of 2,000 more women on that. We're not asking for kind of races to be made easier. We don't need that. We're really good athletes. We just want them to be a bit more better designed with us in mind.
It's incredible.
But it's a bit of a, it's taken over my life. And I think that's one of the issues is I think I can't say no to helping someone that wants to go against a race director. So we can fundraising for SheRACES, do more research. We've done triathlon as well. We work with Ironman, looking at kind of athlete behaviour on races, looking at all the ways we can safeguard women to be the best athletes we can be. But yeah, SheRACES is my kind of, it started really small and now it's quite exploded. So it's, my husband's like, when are you going to get a proper job? And it's like, just give me another year. Just give me another year to fix everything. And then I'll go back to being a CEO.
On this show, we talk a lot about energy, not just having it, but how you use it. And one thing I've learned from the world of endurance sport is that energy isn't something you waste, it's something you master. Hive brings that same mindset into your home, putting you in control of your energy every single day. Everyone knows them for their smart thermostats, but Hive has evolved into something greater, eco-tech that helps generate, manage, and use cleaner energy. And with solar, you can get the sun to work for you, turning sunlight from your roof into greener energy. It's about generating your own power, helping to lower bills, and creating the freedom to live life on your terms. And with the Hive app, you have the power to track, manage, and optimize your energy in one place. Clear, simple, and built around you. And here's the best part. Anything you don't use, you can sell back to the grid, meaning you'll get energy companies to pay you. Hive puts that power directly in your hands. Your home, your energy, and your future. Hive. Know your power. Visit hivehome.com to find out more. Subject to survey and suitability, output varies by season and may not cover all electricity usage. Paid for surplus requires an eligible SEG tariff. Savings vary by home and usage. Sleep and recovery are the most important parts of training, and still, so many people get them wrong. We all talk about good sleep habits, avoiding screens, winding down properly, but hardly anyone talks about the actual mattress that they're sleeping on. I can do everything right, train hard, eat well, recover properly. But if I don't sleep well, I feel it straight away. I'm not sharp, not recovered, and definitely not ready to perform. That's where Simba comes in. Their hybrid mattress design, built using the sleep data of over 10 million people, combines AeroCoil springs and Simbatex foam to keep you cool, supported, and undisturbed all night. It helps you recover properly so that you wake up ready to go again. They've also got adjustable hybrid pillows and cooling duvets, all designed with the same science behind them. And they've picked up over 100 sleep awards, including 6 Which Best Buys. You can try Simba completely risk-free with free next-day delivery, a 200-night trial, and a 10-year guarantee. And if it's not right for you, they'll just collect it. No hassle, no repacking. Because if you're serious about training and recovery, you've got to take your sleep seriously too. Check them out at simbasleep.com/untapped. If you're enjoying this conversation, please do me a favor. Hit subscribe wherever you're listening or watching. It only takes a few seconds, but it really helps the show, and it means that we can keep bringing you incredible guests. Now, back to the show. After that photo made as much noise as it did and went as viral as it did UTMB change? Do they let women defer now when they're pregnant?
I mean, it took quite a few years to persuade them. But now they've come full circle, and I work really closely with them. So, they've got a 5-year policy where women can get their money back, and then they can get into the race anytime at 5 years afterwards. And that rolls if you have more babies. But I think more than that, they do it for the partner. And because these are big races and you pay so much money to be there. And, if your partner's about to give birth, you want to be with your partner. You don't want to be racing, and you give up that opportunity. But for me, it's that they've embraced kind of almost all of the SheRACES guidelines. And these are the putting period products at the toilets, having more toilets, really looking at the media coverage. Like these are professional athletes racing, and having kind of equal crew on the women's race as well as the men's race is like a turning point in the sport, because these athletes need that coverage to get them sponsors. And we got these t-shirts that are here for the women's race. We want to follow that because that inspires other women to come into the sport. Looking at all the things that they have on changing facilities, having private changing facilities, having kind of the language, supporting kind of grassroots organisations. They've given SheRACES some support to do some more research, to find out better ways that events can cater for women. So it's a full circle. And for me, the amazing thing is they've just committed to roll these guidelines out to 75 races across the world. So for me, this powerful organisation, they're going to be putting period products in races all over the world that other athletes are going to see and then go, we should always have this. Equity is not the same as equality. Having the same rules for men and women is not going to equal outcomes. Women, we have babies. And they've been brilliant. And we had all these races adopt the SheRACES guidelines kind of straight off and go, of course we want to do this to support the female athletes. We had a lot of resistance for other races going, oh, no, it's just too much money, or we don't know why we did it. And that's why we did the analysis with Threshold, to prove that it would make them money, because there are races and there's big commercial entities, and it's quite hard to get them to do something they think is donating to charity. But when you show them, it will make them more money. You get more women on there. And then working with brands, like we'll kind of go to brands to get the change in the London Marathon. We had to go to their sponsor and say, you're sponsoring a race that's not allowing women to defer an entry when they have a baby. And the sponsor put the pressure on. So, we will have to go to the brand. And the brands are understanding. I mean, I always say, if brands only sponsored races that were inclusive of all athletes, SheRACES is closed. And I could go back to running, because all races need sponsorship. So going to the brands, there are dinosaur races, I call them. And we call them dinosaurs because, the dinosaurs went extinct. And it's quite difficult to have conversations with people who have beliefs so ingrained that women don't belong on start lines. And I hate to say that this exists still, but it does. And so we just don't spend the energy, because I could spend all my energy fighting someone that's not going to change their mind. It's been really tough with the London Marathon. They will not change their mind on charging women twice to have a baby. I could spend a lot of time fighting that. I hope it's going to change, but I can work on all these races globally that will support us. And that's what we focus on, because change is happening when people see it. And things like cutoffs. Women don't sign up to races that they don't think they can meet cutoffs. And just changing Abingdon from 5 hours to 6 hours. Got so many more women on the start line, and men that were worried about that cutoff. It's not just women. So that was really exciting to see. And hopefully these kind of changes keep going.
Is it always male race directors who kind of are the ignorant ones?
So not always. But I think when there's mothers, and we have pushback from women. A very small amount. I think when we put our triathlon report out, there were some women that said, well, this is what the sport is, tough it up. And there are women that have jumped through all these hoops and they got there and they believe that other women should have to do the same. And you see this in career, in companies sometimes, kind of there's one there and they're not supporting the others. I believe that, we've climbed to the top, we put that ladder down and we put that ladder down for every other woman to get there. And we take away all the barriers that do not need to be in her way for her to get there. But that pushback was interesting, and it makes me realize that actually when I was younger and I didn't believe there were any barriers, would I be the one saying everyone toughen up? Probably. So I've got a lot of empathy for these women that don't see it, and especially when they have children, I think they will see it because it's really tough to get back. And when we are supported, it's life-changing for us. So there's pushback, but there's always pushback. And, I know why I'm doing it and I'm not going to stop. So I'm quite good at running a long way. So I'll just run a long way with SheRACES as well.
Your 24-hour run record is particularly impressive. 235 kilometers you've achieved. That's really good going. I mean, I had a really spontaneous, unprepared stab at it. But I think we share some similarity in that regard. You signed up to the Marathon des Sables with having never run a mile, I hear, which is not dissimilar to my Marathon des Sables experience. I wanted to talk to you about, why do you love taking on big challenges that, in essence, you're not sure if you're ready for?
I think that's the joy in them. I think that when you take on a challenge that you don't know that you can achieve, and then you achieve it, that opens up so much more in your life. And I think there's no point signing up for something that you can do because you do the training, and in the training, I don't have to do all this training because I know I can do something. Something that's kind of slightly scary, but not completely crazy, not something that's a kind of 10% chance. Something that if you do the preparation, you've got a good chance of achieving. And then you're like, well, I do this, well, what else can I do? And I think doing it on a physical challenge, for me, opens that up to other areas of my life and in my career and other kind of goals that I have, kind of thinking, well, I had this goal and I thought it was scary and I achieved it. Why am I not thinking about doing something a little bit harder? And that's kind of exciting.
If anything's to be taken from what you're saying, there's a really good lesson in just throwing yourself into something. For me, that 24-hour experience was quite rough. Didn't take any. I would have loved to have had you there.
You should have called me. You wouldn't have got hypothermia. You probably got quite a few more K on the numbers. But I think there are people that throw themselves into. You obviously, you're on a track. I think there are people that sign up for things and go in unprepared and are putting themselves at risk in some of these longer events where you don't have people around you to look after you. And I think it's important we've got all these ultra marathoners doing these 100-mile races, and showing up prepared, especially when there's a race organizer that's kind of looking after you, is really important. And there's so much detail out there to know how to train. For me, I'm not going to go to an event unless I control every single controllable I can. There is so much I can't control. In the world, I can't control if my stomach turns. I can't control the weather. I can control absolutely everything I can, because that gives me the best chance of success. And when I stand on that start line, I don't want the reason for failure to be something that I could have fixed beforehand.
I'm sure the list is endless, but it'd be interesting to hear just some experiences where, all the controllables have not been controlled and something's gone really pear-shaped. Just can you take us through that experience?
I mean, I shouldn't really even be alive. I was in a coma in a race with hyponatremia. So this is pre-kids. I'm in Cambodia. And I drank too much water over a stage race. And I come back to so many things that went wrong. And I've just finished my book. And a lot of what I've found over so many races are things where, women are treated differently to men, or we've got the men's rules for us and they actually can put us in danger. And so I had a 2-liter bladder and I was being told to drink that whole bladder between every checkpoint. I mean, I'm 5'3", I weigh kind of 57 kilos. I need less water than, your massive 6-foot kind of guy. And I just drank too much. I couldn't stomach my food. So I wasn't getting any salts. I had these kind of salt tablets, but they were very, very weak. I now know I need I'm a very salty sweater. I'm the one that's covered in tiger stripes after a long run now. So I need a lot. And I was leading the race, and after day 3, the long stage, didn't know where I was. It's all on camera. This Boundless TV crew actually had a video of me going into a coma. I looked like I've had a stroke. And airlifted to Siem Reap, airlifted to Bangkok in helicopter. They got me a helicopter within 16 minutes of calling one. And my family were given a telephone call. My husband got the call and said, there's 50% chance she dies and 50% chance she has brain damage. You need to get on a plane. And my sodium was 108. And I think the minimum is about 130. And they wanted to airlift me to drill a hole in my skull to let my brain expand. But then, in 6 days intensive care, my parents had to see that. And it made me completely reflect. I think it changed my life. It was the worst thing to happen to my family. I have no idea because I don't remember. I woke up and then kind of my brother's there getting me some Dunkin' Donuts. It was the best food near like the Bangkok hospital. And I no clothes. And my mum found these like maternity pants, which then I actually like wore when I was pregnant. It was great because I had nothing. I had no kit. I had nothing. I had just a passport. And it made me reflect on a life that, could have ended. And then it made me really reflect on what I wanted in life. And it was that moment that we decided we wanted to have children. We wanted to kind of change what I did. But I also knew the risk of my life and what I do. And there are things in the ultra running world that I will not do because I find them too dangerous. And so I look at races and I look at their medical cover very, very carefully now. And I look at what kind of route I'll be on. I have really bad Raynaud's disease. So I get kind of cold very, very quickly. I will not race in the winter. My husband does like Arctic ultras, like across northern Sweden in like minus 40 degrees. I would not get past like mile 1.
Is that the Beyond the Ultimate one?
Yes. So he's done that twice.
I've done that, and it's nothing short of grim.
He loves it. But there's the icicles, the picture with the icicles and the eyelashes. It's just really cool. And I will never have that picture because I cannot go somewhere that cold.
So I took that picture of myself with the icy eyelashes because I could feel my eyes were kind of like clamping shut on top of this hill. And to your point, it was minus 36. And apologies if I've told this story before. But I took my phone out and I took my glove off.
Oh no.
Yeah, like to take this photo. And I took just a quick selfie, like 2 or 3 selfies, thinking I'll send this back to, my family when I'm next, when I finish. This was day 2, I think. And it was like one of the worst experiences. Like my hands didn't recover for the full day. I felt like it was a very serious problem. At the next checkpoint, it was like I had it right next to a fire, like trying to like heat it up, and like it went cold again as soon as I left. Like it was a serious like problem, and obviously I've no experience of frostbite, but I thought that was probably somewhere near how that might feel. Obviously, I've kept my hand, but it was awful, that race.
It's something I could never do. But I think I look at races and I also look at matches. How many matches do I have to burn in my lifetime? And the races I put myself through are really, really hard on the body, and they take months to recover from. It's not a case of kind of weeks. And Ireland took me several months because that was kind of 3.5 days with 2 hours odd sleep and pushing, and I got too hot. The treadmill was a good kind of 8 weeks. Like we took blood markers on me after the treadmill, and this company called Thriver, they were looking at like how long it takes to recover, looking at inflammation. And the one they took straight after the treadmill, they've done 40,000 tests, and I was the 13th highest they've ever seen. And they're like, if we didn't know what you just done, we would send you straight down the A&E. Your body is shutting down. And you see how it comes down, and learning to rest after. If you don't recover, you put yourself at like a long-term kind of risk. So for me, choosing these challenges, I've got to be able to recover after them. I've got to make sure that they're safe for me. I've got 3 kids, and they're my absolute priority in life, and I'm never going to put myself at risk. So it does limit some of the fun races. I think some things are like, maybe I want to do that. And I think, do you know what? No. And so less challenges, harder ones, proper recovery, thinking about, when I'm 80, I have a friend called Eda Bauer, and she's 80, and she runs ultramarathons still. She does multi-day, 17-day, kind of 1,000 kilometers. And I want to be her when I grow up. So I'm looking ahead going, how do I look after my body? How do I make sure nothing ever happens to me like it did in Cambodia? How do I choose my challenges to recover? And how do I make sure that, I'm still doing what I love later in life when hopefully the kids have left and I've got more time to do it.
And I've also read that you took on the Marathon des Sables. What made you want to do that, having no running background?
I think when someone gives you an opportunity and you don't have a good reason to say no, you should say yes. And I was really at a lost time in my life. Like I'd just lost my job in private equity, and my world had been blown apart because I always thought that men and women were equal, and I'd never seen a barrier to being a woman. And I had a successful job in M&A, I went to a brilliant MBA school, and I got married. And it was only a couple of months later that they had to make someone redundant. And I was told, well, you've just got married, you should go and have babies and take some time out, because, women's brains, they turn to mush when they have babies. So take some time out. And my whole world was blown apart by the realization that, hang on, I might not be able to achieve what I thought I could because I'm a woman. And I genuinely never seen it before. I mean, I'd grown up kind of not seeing a difference. When I was 11, I went to a girls' school. I trained as a pilot, navigating the Air Force when I was at university. I just didn't see any different. And I was so lost. And I went off to Thailand to learn to kick people in the head for a couple of months in a Muay Thai camp, and got back. And I met my friend for lunch. She'd been in the air squadron with me at university. And we'd done this thing called the 9 Mega Marches together, which was 100 miles over 4 days. And I thought nothing of it because I'm a hiker. And I think hiking backgrounds are great for ultras because most people walk most of them. It's what they don't tell you. It's like, if you can walk well, you can do an ultra. And he said, he just done the Marathon des Sables, and he met me and he said, you should do this. And I said, but I'm not a runner. He goes, everyone walks. He goes, everyone runs 100 meters, realizes it's in sand and they're knackered and it's 47 degrees and they're just going to walk. You're great at walking. This will be good for you. And I didn't even look up what it was. I just phoned a charity that had places. I had 9 months to train, and I just signed up knowing that I would trust him that this is what I needed. And it was absolutely what I needed. And I think not such a physical challenge, but the being stripped back to who you are in a tent of 7 guys I've never met, who some became close friends, people you just never meet in day-to-day life, and just being able to be myself, not the me that had this degree and this career, just to be Sophie. It was amazing, but it was a case of I just did not have a good reason to say no, and I knew I needed something, and it just turns out that running across the desert was that.
Is there anything more important than your brain, body, immunity, and overall health? It's a good question. I personally don't think so. That's where Vitals by Heights comes in. It's 20 essential nutrients packed into 2 daily capsules. Think high-impact B vitamins, omega-3s, and vitamin D3. Everything you need to feel alert, stay active, and keep up with life. No nonsense, no fillers, just proper fuel made by those who know exactly what they're doing. I used to be a bit of a skeptic about supplements, but I quickly realized that diet and exercise weren't enough to be at the top of my game. I needed backup for my brain and body, and Vitals quickly became a part of my daily routine, keeping me sharp, focused, and somewhat sane. Honestly, just give it a go and see what it can do for you. You've got nothing to lose and so much to gain. Get 20% off your first month subscription at heights.com/untapped or use code UT20 at checkout. I'm one of those people who used to think that I knew my body quite well until I started using Whoop. I began to see exactly where I was overtraining, under-recovering, and basically sabotaging my own progress without realizing it. I've been wearing this particular new Whoop every day since it launched a few weeks ago, and the insights have been amazing. The latest thing that I'm hooked on is their new health span feature. It's not just about adding years to your life, it's about adding good years. Whoop Health Span gives you your true physiological age and shows whether you're aging faster or slower over time, powered by 9 science-backed metrics like sleep quality, VO2 max, and lean muscle mass. It's like having a crystal ball for your long-term health, but one that you can absolutely do something about today. And the best bit is that you can try the brand new Whoop and get access to features like health span, pace of aging, along with all of their core metrics, absolutely with zero risk. They'll send you the brand new Whoop 5 for free. Your first month is free. And if you're not sold by day 29, you get all of your money back. Free to buy, free to try. Just hit the link in the description.
So you finish the Marathon des Sables in the Sahara with very limited running experience. I'm assuming it's, this incredible life experience that feels new and exciting. When do you make the shift into this being a huge part of your life, a profession, chasing world records? When did you realize that you have a gift for it?
It took a long time. I think the Marathon des Sables, for me, it was this is the best holiday ever, because you're exploring a new country and someone set the course for you and you're meeting amazing people and really getting out of kind of my work in finance. And I loved it. So I went and I took husband and I signed us up for a race in Nepal. We did kind of Iceland together, Cambodia, kind of less said better, Bhutan, kind of Utah. And I loved this. And then I start realizing it's a long time away from home. And I start thinking, well, I could do these 100-mile races, because problem was you go on a race and people talk about other races they've done and go, oh, that sounds good. So I thought I could try a 100-mile race. And I kind of tried that and realized the longer the race, the better I was. I could just keep hiking. I could just keep going. I think I burn a lot of kind of fat as fuel. So I don't need as much as other people do.
Instead, are you talking about as an alternative to a carb source?
Yeah, my fat oxidation rate is really high. So I kind of I can manage kind of, I'm also really good at eating. Like my best muscle is my stomach. Like I can pack in the food. I can eat anything on a race. So I thought, this is great. I was doing 100 milers, but still didn't take it seriously. And I wanted to run the UTMB and the Ultra Trail de Mont Blanc, the 106-mile race around Mont Blanc. I got a place in 2014. I lost it because I was pregnant with my first son, and they didn't let you defer places for pregnancy, only if you were injured. And I was like, what do I do now? I wanted to get in. I tried the next year, I didn't get in. And then I tried in 2016, I didn't get in. I finally got in 2018 and couldn't defer, and then did it with my 3-month-old. But I signed up for this race called Spartathlon, which is, I would say, arguably the hardest big race in the world. It's 153 miles, but you've only got 36 hours. And it's following the footsteps of Pheidippides, kind of who set off at sunrise from Athens to get to Sparta to ask for help for their fight against Persians. And then he went back and then he ran the marathon and then he died. But he'd done like 300 miles before he ran the marathon and then he died. And so it's so iconic, but it's so tight on cutoffs because it's a very fast race. So I enlisted the help of a coach for the first time. Robbie Britton said, you've got 6 months to get me there. And I only ran 37 miles a week on average for 6 months. But somehow I finished that race and thought, I can do a bit more. Like this is actually kind of, I was only, I think, the 8th or 9th British woman to ever finish the race. And so that started the worst. But I'm in pregnancy. So I'm having a baby, I'm trying to recover, and then you're having another pregnancy. And it was after my 3rd baby, Saoirse, that my coach said, what makes your heart sing? What do you want to do? And I said, I want to go back to Spartathlon. And that was, I want to go back to this race because it's so iconic. And I got injured 138 miles in. I got a big edema in my quad and I had to limp down the last half marathon. And you've got these kids on bikes and you finish the race by kissing the foot of the statue. And it's just beautiful. I want to run the finish. To qualify, you can run a 100-mile race or a 24-hour race in a certain kind of distance. Or if you run 25% more, you get an automatic place. And I just didn't want another ballot. So the quickest way to do that is run 24 hours around a track. And so I went to kind of Bolton-on-Thames track and I ran, my husband was at the side. He'd never crewed before. He was learning off all the other crews what to do. He's now a very good crew. And I finished and I think I had 214 kilometers or something. And
does it still exist?
Which one?
The Spartathlon?
Yeah, you should do it.
Sounds great.
It is, honestly, it's also the best. It's a holiday. You all go together. There's a massive great wedding afterwards. It's absolutely iconic. and everyone's partying together. But it's just that story that's so, and you cross Mount Olympus in the middle of the night. And it's where he asked help from the god Pan. I remember I had to go, please help me finish this race. It's iconic. Yeah, I'll help you train for it. You should do it.
That's so cool.
But it's amazing. But I wanted that. That's what I wanted. So I'm running this 24-hour race only to get this auto qualifier. So it's 212.5 I needed to run. Ran a bit more than that. And thought, brilliant, I'm going to Spartathlon this year. Except for I get a message from Robbie. And he said, do you realise you run a GB qualifying time for the 24-hour team? Would you like to apply to come to the European Championships in Verona in a few months? And then I was like, oh, okay. And Eddie'd been coaching me since 2018, since she helped me run UTMB with a little tiny baby. And she said, you could be good at this. And so I went to European Championships, then went to the Worlds in Taiwan, and I was first Brit. And yeah, now I'm going out to Albi in 2 weeks for my third GB vest, which I got all my GB vests after having 3 kids. And for me, I think kind of the story of having the GB vest, I wanted to go. I've still not gone back to Spartathlon, but I think for me, I need to let's do it together.
Let's go. so much fun. And by the way, that idea of crossing Mount Olympus in the middle of the night and praying to Pan, did you say?
Yeah.
Oh, it's a bit of me, that. Did you ever see the guy who got lost during the Marathon des Sables? That Italian guy.
I heard about it.
He
How do you get lost in the Marathon des Sables? I mean, it's flagged so well.
Yeah, so this is a long time ago now, but he went off-piste, off course, for ages, 30K off course, couldn't see any more flags, got lost in the middle of the desert, all alone, by himself.
Drinking his own wee.
He drank his own urine. He drank bat blood. So he found a like a little cave thing, like a little religious room almost, in the middle of the Sahara that had a tombstone in it, and in it were a bunch of bats. This is in the middle of the Sahara. And he would go in there and he could pick the bats off when they were asleep, and he would bite their heads off, and this is no joke, and drink the bat blood to stay alive. And then he, after a long period of surviving in this way, he left this room to just go and die in the desert, basically. He just ventured out into the heat with nothing, just to keel over and die. And he was found by some African military who happened to be doing, it's all meant mad stuff. He then went back and did it another 5 or 6 times afterwards. He was declared dead, by the way, by Italian news. So he was lost, and the news was he's dead. And he appeared back in Italy, to his family. It's amazing stuff. You've obviously ran 24 hours multiple times. You've also ran 48 hours before. Do you hold the record, the treadmill record for 48 hours?
Yes, the Guinness World Record.
How far did you go?
370 kilometres.
In a single stint? You stop at all?
So we had a few naps. It was the worst place to do it. I mean, doing it at the National Running Show. The point was to get the record, but it was not the right place to try and get a record. I mean, you do it in kind of air-conditioned, kind of controlled environment where it was quiet, and this was a National Running Show. It was so loud. So I tried to nap, going to get 20-minute naps so many times, and I finally got one, I think the morning of kind of day 3 when I'd just broken the record, and thought I could just, before the show opened, I could get that nap in. But yeah, caffeine naps, you knock a caffeine gel, you lie down for 10 minutes, you get the 10-minute nap kicks in, the caffeine kicks in, you can go again. But that atmosphere was, I really wanted 400K, and I knew I had it in me, and I'm not going to do it again though. I think
400K is wild. And also, just how often did you allow yourself a break? Was the idea to try and bank as much as possible early, or who advises you on this, or are you in a league of your own when it comes to this? Are you strategizing it, or do you have help?
Very much so. I've got an amazing coach called Edwina Sutton, and she's kind of was a GB kind of ultra runner. She also has 3 kids who are all slightly older than mine. So I think part of it is working out how it fits in your life, and having a mum of 3, kind of advise a mum of 3, makes it so much easier. She knows I'm it's half-term week, we need a down week because nothing's going to get done. But there's the strategy, we talk it through. I know I'm not a naturally talented runner. Like, I listened to the Ewan Thomas episode, and he found out at Sports Day that he just won everything, and that was great. I was second last in the mile at Sports Day. So I know that I'm not ever going to be a great 5K runner. I've got a lot better. I'm very much a kind of endurance runner. So I know that for me to do well, I need to have everything else in that. And I do a lot of strength work, but controlling my mind is the most important thing. I think my mental strength is far more important than my physical strength. And I know that I can just keep going. So I don't tape break. When I'm running the World Championships, I won't even walk. I won't take a sleep. I'll just keep going and taking all those seconds back that other people might take kind of stopped at the side of the track. So the strategy was we had an amazing science team helping out. So they were kind of crewing me as well as doing loads of measurements to go, what can we learn from what's happening? But I was going to run an easy kind of 24 hours, so kind of 220K, and then kind of see what happened, kind of just within myself. And then kind of see what happened, kept going. And I basically kept running as long as I could, started to take a couple of walk breaks through that night, and then broke the record, which was previously, I think, 3:40. And then I got completely disorientated and I couldn't run on the treadmill. And so we're going, what do we do now? I could run off the treadmill to the toilet, but I couldn't run. I would fall off the back of the treadmill. And the decision's made that, it's not about the record. Let's put as much into it as we can. But the whole point of being there was to kind of show to people that, you can do hard things. And all the people that I think 30,000 people watched. And it was a case of them saying, well, I might sign up to that 10K. I might try and do a half marathon because this woman who has 3 kids and wasn't a runner is on a treadmill running for 48 hours. And can that just make me rethink what might be possible for me? So that was the whole point. And it was to raise funds for SheRACES, kind of my nonprofit, to get more women on start lines. But that was it. So I think we had to re-strategize. We had to rethink what was happening. But I went into it knowing I could run a good 24-hour and then walk it out for the record. I knew that was well within me. I think I was more confident of breaking that record than I was confident about breaking the world record to run the length of Ireland, because that record was so tight and held by such an incredible ultra runner, Mimi Anderson. So it was a safer record in a way, and that's why maybe I was a bit more comfortable with being public. But I didn't know how much I could put into it. And in the end, I should still feel proud it was 370 because I know what I went through. And you saw me on the treadmill and that was Saturday. Sunday, it was not looking so good. But it really did teach me how much you can go through when you have a why and when you want to do something.
Is there anything on your bucket list that you haven't achieved that you'd like to?
Oh, that's a great question. I'm looking at more challenges. I think I don't like racing. And where I come in an event versus someone else means absolutely nothing to me because I can't control their performance. And so doing these races is a great experience, of course, but podiums and kind of trophies. I got really excited at Race to Stones. I had no idea I was in first place until I saw the tape. And my first thought was, kids are going to be so happy because I'm going to take a trophy home, because they love trophies and they love kind of show and tell, and kind of the Ireland record made it into Guinness World Record book, the actual book this week. So they took the book into school library and they were so happy. And that excites me. But winning doesn't excite me. Running for Great Britain does, because it's part of a team and it's my country. And that's the only way I'll push myself in, I think, in a mass participation race now. So I love the SheRACES event we put on that was women only, and I want to put more of those on. But as an athlete, I think it's the challenges. And yeah, I'm raising funds to do a pretty cool expedition race next year. I'd like to run across another country. Those kind of things. I want to go back to Spartathlon, I think. You're coming with me, so it's okay.
I'm into it.
But it's difficult. I think when things come up, I think your heart's really got to sing, and you've got to really have a why, because the events that I do, they're all hard. Running a sub 3-hour marathon would mean nothing to me. So am I ever going to train up for it properly? No, because if it gets hard at mile 20, I don't actually care. And I think it's finding that challenge that I really care about, that's affects others. When I ran the length of Ireland, I had written in my hat, it was like one woman, one girl. And the whole point was that if one woman or one girl saw me running the length of Ireland and believed that they could do something they didn't think possible because they've seen this crazy woman kind of have kids in a camper van alongside her and like and a hubby and her crew in a car and she's just not stopping. I need a challenge that makes me want to be able to give that back. So I think I've got something lined up potentially for next year, but I love running for Great Britain. And my whole focus is on the World Championships, and we'll see beyond then. It's not a great answer. I don't have this long. I'd love to run Western States, but it's hard to get in now. But I just want to go to the aid stations because apparently I've never really raced America, but the aid stations, they have like proper food, like
delicious.
Really good food, and I love food.
I love food.
So I think I want to do an American race, maybe one of the 200 milers just for the aid stations, and then think about some crazy challenges that I hope can inspire others to take on their own challenges.
Well, I can't wait to see what you come up with and what you tackle next. What advice would you give to our listeners about how they can untap more of their potential?
I think the first thing is finding why you're doing it and the real why and not the first why. And a lot of people have a why, well, my mates are signed up or kind of, this would sound good on Insta. I'll get loads of likes on Instagram. That's not going to get through you the chat. Like the real why. And we have personal ones. And you don't ever have to tell anyone, but knowing why you're doing something that's going to keep you kind of focused in training. But I think the other one was asking for help. And I think it's something that women especially don't do enough of. But we have so many people that believe in us, that want us to achieve these goals. And when I take on a goal, when my hubby takes on a goal, we make it a family goal. And we're all in there. And like the kids know that kind of if they're kind of late in the morning, then I'm not going to get my training in. But my friends, like I have a village around me of mum friends that will kind of take my kids to school so I get an extra 30 minutes. And it's taken me so long to ask for help. I've always felt that to be strong means you have to do everything on your own. And, you want to go far, you go together. And so looking around you and asking for that help and the support and the advice, I could do nothing. I would achieve absolutely none of these challenges without so many friends and crew around me. So that's what's taken me from kind of being a good athlete to being able to break records is knowing why I'm doing it and then having the people around me that can support me to get there.
Sophie Power, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.